Morning, folks. Today's shaver is going to be a Micromatic made by Jim. It's the open comb version. Got this one here by the way of eBay. It has a Treet blade in it. I got it over here warming up in my little mug of water there. It came with a case. This is maybe kind of hard to tell, but it is a green case, and this is what it looks like on the inside. It has a place for your new blades and your used blades. This case is made out of Bakelite. That's what the bottom looks like, and yep, it's got a hinge there. Pretty cool. Got it for just under $15 on eBay. That's a pretty good buy. I'm gonna go with DeLuxe rockers. This is what it looks like on the inside. You can tell I've been using it, and it's not too terribly hard. In other words, you can put your finger in it. I'll put the scent profile down below. This is going to be my aftershave of the day. And switched up to Humphreys on the witch hazel. Got my alum block complete with rubber band. Using a smooth bottom bowl. Thrift store find. That's what the lather looks like. And using a Metalworks brush. Nice big handle. It's got the inlay there. Synthetic knot, black with the white tips. It's pretty nice. I've already used a hot towel to the face, and matter of fact, you might be able to see some of that bloom water that I got worked into my face. Got it already started lathering up just with the bloom water. But that was a really good find on eBay, because this razor is in pretty good shape. Mechanically opens and closes like it should. I didn't see any places where any brassing, in other words the plating loss. Didn't see any. Now it had, you could tell that it had been used. It when you open up the door on the underside, you can see a little bit of where maybe a blade was left in there a little too long. But outside of that, it is in really good shape. And it comes with a case. So I guess you might say in some cases, in some instances, cases, since I'm talking about a case, razors don't come with cases like that much anymore. In this case here, as old as it is, it's in pretty decent shape. And you get it for around $15 on eBay. That's a pretty good buy. I mean, I've seen others on eBay where, you can buy it now for, a good 25, 30, 40, just depends, prices keep right on going up. That's a darn good buy for under $15. Got a Treet blade in here. Going to go with the grain pass for the first one. Now, I've shaved with Micromatics before, and there is some feedback, that's for sure. That is one thing that'd be kind of nice to see. With the razors or new ones that they're coming out with, is to have a case. Doesn't necessarily have to be made with Bakelite, but it'd be nice to get I guess you might say, quote unquote, a premium package. Get one with a case. I'm not sure what this sold for, you know, when it was new versus one in a cardboard box. I'd have to say it'd be worth the money. In other words, to pay the few extra dollars and get the case. Especially if you're looking at this as a long-term type thing. I mean, face it, talking about manly things, most of the time you will, when you go to buy a drill, for instance, you want it in a case. Electric saw, you want it in a case. Makes it easy for storage, doesn't it? In other words, everybody can appreciate the case, the usefulness of it. I enjoy my shaves with these Micromatics, clog proof, the flying wing, the bullet tip, in other words, this one here. For me, I get good shaves. I know some people, you know, they talk about how they get a rough shave. Maybe it's the blade that they're using. I mean, this one here is a Treet blade. And if I got this figured right, Treet's made by, well, at that point in time it had been an American safety razor. In other words, the same folks that make Persona. I guess it is something to think about, and it is something, at least I know I do, that when I'm looking at a one of those newer model gym type razors, hoping that one of them will come with a case. I know Chris Bailey talked about it in one of his videos. He was, you know, the amount of money they paid for a razor, and then basically it didn't come with a case, and this is the box that it comes in, and he's a little bit upset about it. Thought for that kind of money that you should get, you know, I guess you might say a case. Packaging should be better, in other words. I'm kind of there with him in a way. I mean, face it, this razor is in really good shape. For as old as it is, I would almost consider it like new. I mean, yeah, it's got some wear on it. You see some scratches up here. But they're not deep scratches, it's just natural wear and tear. But if you were going to pay that kind of money, you'd think you'd get a nice case right along with it. I mean, this one here is 15. And it was used and still in pretty good shape. It's just his opinion, just like it's mine. Maybe you don't prefer a case, and I think that's the option that should be available to the customer. Do you want a case or not? Don't want a case. It's just like when I got my Supply limited edition. I opted out to not getting the case. I was kind of thinking a little bit further down the line. Aaron's Etsy page that he's got, where he's making cases for the Rockwell, a standard DE. Lids for the Old Spice mugs. Kind of figuring out maybe he might, or maybe I will figure out what size box and what kind of box, and see if he can't print me up on the case to go with my Supply limited edition injector. Or maybe one day Supply will come up with one. It's a really nice shave. Definitely can understand why there's a, I guess you might say, a fan base for single edge shaving. Even though to a degree it is very much similar to a DE, with the exception of you don't have two sides of the blade to use. But these blades are thicker and you get a different shave feel. And I guess, you know, depending on the individual, some people say that the shave that they get with a single edge is most comparable to a straight razor. It's not going to be exactly like a straight razor by any means, but you can understand where somebody might compare it. The kind of shave feel that you get. Got tons of lather left in this, if you can tell. Like that, it's coming out down there too. Definitely a good sized brush for even if you're shaving your head. I mean, look at that lather. Got it on my shirt and everywhere else. Pretty much par for the course, isn't it? Alright, pass number 3, if I can dry my hand off there. Just really impressed with my find on eBay. You know, sometimes, you know, you get something from eBay, if you buy enough of them, not quite like, I mean, you look at the pictures, you look at them, but then when you get it, it's not quite like the pictures. Sometimes the pictures are misleading. I don't think it's the seller necessarily. It's just limitations of the equipment that person was using taking the pictures. Limitations, you know, could be that the picture wasn't quite up to speed in the way of quality, and some of them, though, they were quality pictures that just made the product look better than what it was. I have found that with shaving with one of these, that I usually get by with puffing out my cheeks on across the grain and with the grain passes, but against the grain I feel like I need to do a little bit of stretching. Just depends on your skin. We've been getting a little bit of weather overnight, and I think throughout today. I haven't checked on the update. Another one of those days where you end up with about 3 inches of rain, maybe 5, depending on where you're at. See, easy peasy. I mean, I enjoy shaving with my double-edged safety razors, but I have to say, to me these shaves are pretty nice. In most cases I don't get irritation. if I get irritation, it's usually, in other words, operator error. It's not any fault of anything that I was using, that I was shaving with. It's usually the operator that, in other words, got a little carried away, put too much pressure in a particular spot, used the blade one too many times. The reason why in a number of cases, especially when it comes to DE blades, in most cases they're one and done. They're inexpensive enough that I can do that. And with a single edge blade, you know what your limitations are on your how many shaves you can usually get with a blade, depending on what name the blade is, who made it, quality in other words. Like for instance, I know for me, the Feather Pro, I don't get quite as a comfortable shave as I do with the Supers, and I don't get quite as many shaves out of the Pro as I do with the Supers. That redness is normal for me, and believe it or not, that's not where it's stinging at. It's just small little spots down on my neck. In other words, not a whole area, just little spots here and there. Probably little nicks that I got along the way that it's not noticeable while I'm shaving or even afterwards. In other words, I'm not bleeding or anything of the sort. It's kind of typical for my kind of shave. However, it's very smooth. I mean, it is really smooth on my cheeks especially. In other words, this is about as close to BBS as I get. It's good enough for me, especially on a Saturday anyway. This particular witch hazel, probably should mention, there it is. In other words, it does not have a scent, and it doesn't, I guess you might say, doesn't necessarily have aloe added to it. This time of the year, usually my face doesn't get dried out. It's usually during the winter, so I'm saving my Thayers with aloe for when winter rolls back around. This is good stuff. You just don't see it very much. I like using it every so often. Alright, I'll go back over what I shaved with this morning. Once again, it was a gem Micromatic 1940s, I'm sorry, 1940s, maybe early 40s. They're not the easiest to date, so in other words, I think the patent was filed for in 1929 or 1930 or something like that. So in other words, it'd been around for a while, and they made a bazillion of them. Once again, that's what that case looks like. See, I mean, it's as old as this case is. Yeah, I hope our artisans are looking at making some cases for their shavers. There it is. And like I said, it works just fine. Opens right up. That's what it looks like on the inside. And like I said, if you look up in there, you can kind of see there's some stuff up in there. I got it fairly clean. It was fairly clean when I got it, so there wasn't a whole lot of cleaning left to be done to it, but that's a difficult area to get cleaned. But as you can tell, this is a pretty nice shaver, especially for it was under $15. I think it was right at 14, like maybe 3 pennies off. Just a really nice shaver. Got plenty of lather left. Mac, if you haven't seen him, went to his site, he's got different kind of handles, and usually what you see there, he doesn't have multiples of. Generally, it's kind of a one and done type thing. So, in other words, if you're looking to get one like this, I got the one that he had, but he has other brushes that you might be interested in, and he's got a few that I think have that kind of inlay on them. But they're just really nice brushes. Enjoyed my shave today. Need to, if you want to, leave some comments, questions. Everybody, especially with the weather the way it is nowadays, don't drive into high water. Stay safe. Smooth shaves to you.